first just tell me a little bit about what your company does?
We do water treatment systems, sanitation systems, agricultural systems, pool systems, everything we use ozone. It's a new technology that we developed over the last 20 years to help people get away from chemicals, but also get away from bacterias and things like that, but getting their water, treating their water to where they have more natural water coming through their taps in their whole house. We work with a lot of dairies, meat packing plants, fish packing plants, produce processors to sanitize without using chemicals and make things so they have a better shelf life in the commercial and in agricultural worlds. We've actually taken care of sewer smells and off-gassing smells from pig raising facilities, pig sheds, fish packing plants where their sewers really smell a lot, things like that.
And when you hear about a smell like this, what does it make you think of? Is it easy to kind of narrow down the source, or could it be a variety of things?
It can be a variety of things. It can be a chemical. If they're using chemicals, it can be bacterial. Bacterial is 99% of what builds smells, and so if there's bad bacteria, but it can be a combination of chemicals reacting with the liquids or the sewer systems, or how they're trying to mitigate it can cause these problems. Bacterial biofilms, bacterial sludges, things like that can, depending on temperature, depending on what they're putting in the water, depending on a lot of different things. There's a lot of variables in this. And so I don't want to throw anybody under the bus, but at the same time, I want to help people realize that there are simple solutions to issues like that without going the chemical route or without going extremely another way that can cause just as many problems if they're not careful. So when you're looking at bacteria buildups, in this situation we're talking about, we have systems that can actually go in and mitigate that and reduce it. Now sometimes, depending on how much they're processing and how they're set up and everything that they're trying to do on their own, they get an overabundance of certain things depending on temperatures and variables. So there are ways of mitigating that, and very cost effectively without going extremely to the chemical side or another way that can cause more problems.
Okay, I want to break down some of the things you just mentioned.
Okay, go right ahead.
Some of it might be a little repetitive. But so first, now that we know, confirmed that it is the dairy facility, what are the, kind of in simple languages, the main things that could cause a smell coming from a facility like that?
Well, you got mainly what you have is your chemical and your bacterials. So when you're talking, and I'm assuming here that it's bacterial because it's a dairy facility. So that's usually we go to that bacterial breakdowns. And so as the bacteria is breaking things down and reacting, it creates an off gas, and it can cause smells or bad odors. And by mitigating that back down, now sometimes, just like on a water treatment plant of any kind, you have the same reaction going on, but it's breaking that down, and you want some of that to happen. And that's what you want to break a lot of that back, a lot of your sludges and your water down to get rid of a lot of the biomass. And so when you're breaking that biomass down, it's going to off gas, and it's going to create smells. And sometimes they have to do that. I mean, so let's get into BODs, biochemical oxygen demands. When you're looking at that, they can't put that water down a sewer line to get rid of that water, that wastewater, because there's too much oxygen demand on the system, right? Because of the bacterias. A lot of times they have to break that down before they can send it downstream. And that's going to have an off-gassing, it's going to have a smell. So you got to look at their process and what they've got to do to meet their code and their requirements at the same time. So what we do is we go in with our system and we help them get to that point faster without having the smells and without having the bacterial buildups. And it works really well for them. We've done it for slaughter plants. They can't send any of their wastewater downline. We've done it for, like I said, fish packing plants and things like that, where they can't send that downstream without breaking that down and getting that biochemical oxygen demand out of it. We call it BOD, out of it, to where it's not, so when it gets to the sewer plant, it's not pulling all the oxygens out of the water and killing off all the microorganisms that they're using to break stuff down. It puts more demand on that, and it's very expensive for them to treat it there before they can send it downstream. So there's a lot of that stuff that we can do also. And we've done it for a lot of companies, and it's worked really well. So without throwing anybody under the bus, they have something they have to do. We can help them with that to get to that point without the smells.
Gotcha. Okay, 2 more things.
Okay, go ahead.
So the cause of it, one more thing on that. You mentioned the bacteria, just people at home, I feel like they don't understand the process
Exactly.
of a dairy. So could you explain, like, you've worked with dairy facilities before, what that bacteria is that they're going through?
Like, what do you mean? Like,
you said, like, you kind of used some language of, like, oh yeah, they're extracting this bacteria, and then that's what causes the off gas. Can you explain, like, in simple terms, kind of like what that is that they're doing, like why they have to do that for a dairy facility?
like why they have to get rid of the biochemical oxygen demand? Okay, so you have to get rid of biochemical oxygen demands because when you put it downstream, okay, so let's go through the whole process. They have wastewater from cleaning, from just product spills, whatever, and they have to wash that down. They have to collect that. They cannot send it directly downstream in the sewer because it has a biochemical oxygen demand on it. It's called BOD. The BODs are bacterias and fats and things like that in the wastewater that create so much demand on water and pulls oxygen out, all the oxygen's out of the water, and they can't send that down because it kills off, at the sewer plants, it kills off all of their microorganisms in the water that they're using to break stuff down to make it clean water again. So when that's happening, during that process, you're off-gassing. It's creating bacteria, it's creating all kinds of really nasty stuff in the water. And that's off-gassing, and that's creating smells. Okay? By breaking things down quicker with other products like chemicals or ozone, like what we do, you can reduce the smells and help that breakdown happen faster. And reduce the smells so that people aren't complaining about it, right? We're trying to get people so they're happy. They live in a beautiful community. They want to keep it that way. They don't want to walk outside and smell it every day. We have this problem happening over and over and over in all kinds of communities as they grow into these areas where these plants are at. So, did I answer that right?
No, you're good. So basically, first I just wanted to understand the cause, and then I want to understand the processes that they can do from a company like you. The cause, from my understanding of what you're saying, is that they're kind of doing what they need to do to clean the water to get out, but that process then causes a smell.
It does,
okay.
For sure.
Okay, so then when that happens, and you're saying there's some ways that they can prevent that smell, can now you summarize, those main ways, the things they could do that help prevent it?
Well, you'd have to look at their facility, and you need to understand what their process is and how they're doing it in order for us to be able to inject, or if it's in a pond, if it's in a tank, there's a lot of different ways that people do these things. And when we go out and look at a facility like that, we want to understand what their process is and how they're trying to mitigate the problem and how they're trying to do things, so we know where we can inject our ozone to mix it in to the equation to help them create that breakdown faster and to mitigate the smell problem. So it's all about how a facility, every facility, you can go to the same type of facility from here, northern Utah, California, wherever, and you're going to come up with the same exact, not the same exact, the same problem, but a different process. Everybody does it a little bit different. So what we'd have to do is understand how they are doing their process so we can decide how to help them achieve what they need to. And so like on a tank system, we go in there and put some bubbler systems in with a high concentration of our plasma ozone systems to help break all that down quicker, break those bacteria down without releasing a lot of off-gassing. If they're just running it through an injection system or a pipe system, we have to inject in certain key points to mix that in as it's going through so that when it comes out the end, it's the right reduction of bacteria and biochemical demand, biochemical oxygen demands to get them where they need to be to send it downstream. So that's the whole goal, is getting it to that point so they can send it downstream or they can use it for a different product or they can do something else with it.
Gotcha. So, in kind of kindergarten terms, you would find different ways, like it might be different points of the process depending on the facility.
Exactly.
But what you were doing is basically putting something into the water that helps mitigate that smell.
The smells and the bacterias and all their off-gassing, yeah.
Okay. Can you kind of explain that? Like, yeah, just like in that sentence version of no matter which process you use.
Okay, so you want to know kind of how our system, so the scientific way of process of how it works. Okay, so.
In the most simplest kindergarten, which I know is hard.
See, and that's something I'm not good at. Sean's good at that. I'm not, because I'm the science guy. Anyway, no. So okay, so when we inject our ozones into a system or we use them in a tank type situation or a pond type situation, we're actually we're taking oxygen, turning it into high strength ozone molecules. That when they hit like a bacteria, a virus, a fatty acid, a chemical of any kind, a virus of any kind, it actually shatters it and it oxidizes it to where it can't ever come back and do anything ever again. It's inert material. And by doing that, it's cleaning and oxidizing, just like we do on a water treatment system. We are actually taking and injecting that in, breaking everything down, and then it's off-gassing as clean oxygen. Okay, so pretty much you're using ozone and you're creating oxygens that comes out as clean oxygens in the end, but in the process of that, you're breaking all the bacteria, everything down in that process. And it reduces other ambient gases or NOx and VOX gases or bacterial gases, which are smells, is what we always use. But anyways, so in kindergarten terms, that's kind of how that works. Really simple. It's actually a really simple system when you really think about it. But you got to remember, our technology that we have in water is 3,000 to 3,500 times stronger than bleach or chlorine, but without any harmful effects or gases that can make us sick or harm anybody. And so when we use that in this type of process, it's very safe and it works really well for these types of problems.
Some people, when they've heard the smell, they've told me they're worried, like, oh, if it smells like that, it can't be good for us. What would you say to that on kind of from what you're familiar with of what these smells are? Is it anything?
It depends on what they're using, because if they're using a chemical process to speed this up or anything like that, the off-gassing can be harmful. If it's just a natural bacterial odor, you don't want to be in a room in it, because most of that is methane gases and things like that that aren't really going to harm you in small amounts. It's just the smell. It's unpleasant. It's not something that's going to be detrimental to your health. So I don't know what they're using out there. I don't know what their process is yet. I haven't talked to them, but if we knew that, then I could answer a lot more questions. But you know, people got to understand. I mean, does anybody around here? I mean, I'm sure some of these people have grown up on a farm. You smell that smell all day long on a farm. It's not going to kill you. It's not going to hurt you. It's unpleasant, yes. But is it going to harm you? Probably not. It's probably low enough amounts. You're getting the smells. It's not enough to harm you. So I wouldn't say that I would go as far as saying that what they're smelling is bad for them or is going to hurt them or harm them in any way. No, I wouldn't.
All right. And then lastly, I just want to confirm again, you said this is a common thing across lots of facilities of this nature.
Oh, all over the place. We see this all over because of the fact that we go in northern Utah and in California, in Nevada, Arizona, everywhere. All of our communities are growing out to these points to where they're by these facilities. When that happens, they're going to get smells and they're going to have issues. Can we mitigate that? Yeah, sure we can. But I mean, it's nothing to go sue somebody over or get upset about and totally destroy the company because of something they chose to live there. And I'm just going to get into this because you're not live. If you're going to move somewhere, go drive around the community and see what's there. Don't just move somewhere and then complain about what's going on next door. I mean, that's just my opinion. Okay? I don't want to see that. It ruins people's lives. It ends up is a lot of heartache for everybody. But yeah, we've had a lot of issues like this. The meatpacking plant we did in Salt Lake, they had the same problem. They were out there by themselves for years since they started the company. And then as they started building apartments and stuff around them, people started complaining. Well, they have to go spend $8 million to build a whole brand new facility outside of town because of those complaints. I don't think that's right. Now, can the company do something about it? Yeah, sure. But everybody have a little bit of patience with this because let them try to figure it out.